everybody, it's Katie and I would like to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be covering a subject that I get so many questions on from my customers, cosplayers, fans, Instagram followers, everybody alike. Anytime I post a restyle, how do I detangle my wigs? Long awaited, long overdue. I've been planning on doing this video for quite a while, even before I started up a YouTube channel. I posted little mini tutorials before on my Instagram in terms of time-lapse, in terms of just photos, but I feel like a video is the best way to do this in depth and really get you started on your way of keeping your wigs nice and pretty after they have been worn. So today we are going to be working on a wig that was sent to me by a customer, and she's been worn quite a few times for birthday parties and she needs some TLC. I already cleared this with the customer, asking them if it was okay if I used their wig for this video. They said yes, that's perfectly fine. So please understand this is not a call out in any way, shape, or form. It's simply a matter of the life of wigs, and you know, that's just kind of how it happens. So here's the wig we're going to be working on today. This is an aerial wig originally from me for the customer. I'm not sure how many times she's been worn, but quite a bit. She's been to quite a few parties, and she's got some mats and tangles that we need to take care of, refresh the curls, refresh these bangs, put some wave back into them and some life. So I am really excited to bring this video to you guys. I suppose I'm going to call it the Katie method of how I refresh and detangle wigs, simply because I know there are plenty of ways to do this. Everybody else has their own method. This is simply how I do it, and I hope that I can help you a little bit. So before we actually get started with this wig and start detangling it, there's a few things that you're going to want to gather to make this project so much easier. Now, if you have any questions on the tools that I'm using, you can refer to my video that I've posted before on my favorite styling tools and products, and I'm just going to reference those here real quick. So to start, you're going to want to gather your wig that you'll be working on. You're going to want to use a sturdy stand, whether that be a tripod stand like I use, or a table stand, depending on how comfortable you are. But you do want to make sure that it's nice and sturdy, because that is going to help out your process tremendously. Second, if you have invested in your canvas wig head, you're definitely going to want to use that today. If not, and if you are working on a styrofoam head today, I recommend using lots of pins to make sure that your wig is completely anchored down, because there will be some pulling and tugging as we're detangling, and you want to make sure that that wig stays nice and snug on that styrofoam head. Next, you're going to want your trusty detangling comb. The next tool that you're going to want to use, I have hundreds of these simply because they come in ponytail clips and I never need to use them specifically for that reason, but these giant butterfly clips, they're going to help hold off massive sections of hair, because we're going to start by working in small sections. That's the best way to approach this project. Next, when you are refreshing curls, when you curl a wig, you want to keep those curls up in a barrel until they're cool. These little doodads are going to help you do that. These are just simple duckbill clips, and they're super helpful. And next, when you are refreshing a wig, sometimes you may find that the ends of the wig are frayed beyond repair. If that is the case, you can use your trusty hair cutting shears, and you can just carefully trim those ends off. Sometimes it's just bound to happen, but if you're careful, you will not take much noticeable length off of your wig. Lastly, I am going to be using my 1-inch barreled curling iron. Because this is a curly wig and because it does have quite a bit of matting in it, going through and detangling it is likely going to compromise the structure of the curl. So I'm going to have to recurl parts of this wig, if not all of it, and doing so with a curling iron is a great way to do that. This wig is heat safe. If your wig is not heat safe, do not use heat tools. Please don't do it. It will ruin the wig. Because this wig is heat safe, I will be using a curling iron like I said. If you are using heat tools on your heat safe wig, I always recommend starting at a lower heat and working your way up to a higher heat if needed. Yeah. So find your happy spot. So I guess let's get started.
So here, I'm just going to give you a closer look at the condition of this wig. From afar or even up close, it may look like this wig has seen the last of its days, but that's simply not true. You can still see that there are some defined curls, they're just covered in some matted and tangled hair, and this is pretty common with curly wigs, especially worn multiple times for a decent length of time. Though hair tends to rub up against the backs of costumes and just get tangled like normal hair would. And here you can see the bangs are quite disheveled, but that's my fault with the way I was handling the wig and just from shipping as well.
So before we even begin the combing process, once your wig is blocked, you're going to want to separate it into smaller sections. If you received your wig from a commissioner, you can likely find the different tracks they use to create the different curls. Use these as a guideline to separate into smaller sections. You can see here that I'm using my fingers to gently comb through each section of the hair to separate the curls. Doing this with your fingers as opposed to a comb is going to create a better situation. It's going to make sure that you don't create more knots using a comb, and it's just going to make the process much easier. You might find that while you are doing this, that quite a bit of hair will start to shed from the wig. This is completely normal with synthetic wigs, as it's normal with our own hair. Don't be alarmed with the amount of hair that you might find on your fingers or even your comb in later steps. Once you have that section of hair torn away from the others, you use one of your big butterfly clips to clip up the larger section and keep it up out of the way. To begin the combing process, you're going to want to start with an individual curl section of the hair. You'll start at the bottom and work your way towards the top using a short combing method. You'll see here that I'm not entirely digging my comb into the section of hair until I get to the very bottom. I want to work at the knots that are sitting on top of the curl instead of digging my comb all the way into the curl. This process definitely requires some patience, especially if you're not used to detangling a wig. You want to make sure that you work in short strokes and get all of those knots out. As I said before, some shedding is going to be natural with a curly wig, as shedding is natural with your own hair. As you can see as I'm combing out this section of hair, the amount of knots that were there and the amount of work it took to get it detangled has ruined the curl integrity of the wig. This means that we're going to have to refresh this curl as well as refresh the rest of the wig. And this process is what I'm going to show you next. Now that this section is detangled, you can see here that there really isn't much of a curl established anymore, so I'm going to show you how I redo the curls. This wig is heat safe, so I'm using my curling iron to refresh the curl. I'm using a 1-inch barrel curling iron, and I'm just going to wrap the hair around it like you would your normal hair. After a few seconds have passed, I've determined that the curl is as hot as I want it to be, so I'm going to gently release it from the barrel of the curling iron. This is important that you keep it up in its barreled curled state and clip it up until it can cool. Once time passes and it's cooled, you can let the clip go and you can slowly let your curl down. Another great thing is as your individual curls are cooling, you can begin working on another section of hair. Now that this curl is done, I'm just going to gently wrap my fingers around it and reestablish a softer curl. And there it is. And here are the rest of the curls, all detangled and refreshed. I did the rest of this off camera to keep the video nice and short, but if you follow the steps that I showed you before throughout the rest of the wig, you'll have her detangled and refreshed in no time. And here we have the finished product. I added a little bit of spray wax to the top layers just to tame the flyaways a little bit more, but she is detangled, refreshed, and ready to go. Her bangs have a new wave and she's ready for some parties. All right, everybody, we have made it to the end of the video. I am so excited with how this aerial wig has turned out after her restyle, her refresh, and I can't wait to send it back to the client. I really hope that this video has helped you in restyling and refreshing your own wigs and that it was pretty easy to follow. I didn't want to make this video too long because I know restyling wigs themselves takes a while, so the last thing you want to be doing is watching a video the entire time. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them below. Also, recommendations. Let me know what you guys want to see next for videos. What's going to be helpful? Do you want curling methods? Do you want recommendations on wig brands? Let me know and I'll see what I can whip up for you guys. Thanks for joining me and I can't wait to see you next time.